where did this idea of the American dream come from? James Truslow Adams in 1931, he talks about the American dream. He kind of coined the phrase during the early days of the Great Depression, which is interesting, right? You would have thought it may have been the Gilded Age, or you may have thought it would have been the Roaring Twenties. Emerson, too. I mean, he doesn't coin the phrase, but he talks about how America's always in the act of becoming something, right? Moving forward. And Europe, is old and stale. Certainly by this point, it's been old and stale for a long time. And there's a lot of cool things about Europe, but America's new, it's young, it's doing all this innovative stuff. And James Truslow Adams kind of talks about, you know, the American dream, not so much in a material that develops over time where it's sort of seen more in a material wealth kind of perspective. But Adams talks about it in a more holistic component of people coming together, right? Investing in civil society, but it also this idea that anybody can kind of remake themselves and invent themselves into somebody. That's of course a big part of the American dream. James, I know you're a big fan of Frank Capra, the director, as I am. I mean, he's one of these guys he's an immigrant. I think he comes at like 10 years old, the age of 10. I don't know exactly, but he has one of the greatest appreciations of America as an outsider, right? I mean, he sees it differently than people who were born and raised here. And I've lived abroad, so I see the American dream a little bit different. I was born in Okinawa. I was born on a military base, so I'm fully American. But I also lived in Egypt, and so I was able to experience some cool stuff traveling in parts of Africa and Asia and Europe. And so I'm able to look at the American dream a little bit differently too, as an outsider in some respect, not like Frank Capra, not to that extent, but I'm able to look at it that way as well and kind of see, why is America so unique? Why is, when I lived in Egypt, so many Egyptians say, I want to live in America. It's so, it's so great.